Well, let me just brief you out with what we had started, what we were doing. We were there into dividend decision making, and only two models were pending to be discussed. Two models were already discussed in a very detailed manner. Now, basically, those models were suggesting us the amount of dividend to be paid or not to be paid to maximize our shareholders' value. Now, shareholders' value will be maximized only when the market price of the equity gets maximized. Now, when I say market price of equity, that means here we are talking about the valuation aspect of equity. Obviously, higher the valuation will be, higher will be the market price in equity market too, because investors will be rational enough to identify overvalued and undervalued stocks. So that is the fundamental assumption we have. So, friends, if I just sum it up, no, then every models may be bifurcated into two categories. Category number one is relevance model. Another one is irrelevance model. So when I say relevance model, that means those model explicitly states that dividend affects the market price of equity. For example, Walters model, then dividend growth model. Both of these models we have seen, right? In the dividend growth model as well, we have seen some advanced problems. We have solved some exercises which involved three-stage discounting as well. So just in the last question, the sum we had solved was involving three-stage discounting, right? Now this models tells you that dividend is relevant as far as the valuation of the company overall is concerned. But Modigliani-Miller model falls over here in irrelevance model. The third model that we are going to discuss is Modigliani-Miller profit. Amount you pay, it does not affect the valuation of a total company in a long period of time. Now their fundamental argument is based on the arbitrage effect. Now some people would be like, sir, what is this arbitrage effect? Okay, I'll come to that arbitrage. Before that, we should try to understand this model. My friends, as a shareholder, you have got the total expectations, which is the KE. Now KE may be say 10%. And right now the market price is say 100 rupees. So on P0, you have the total expectations of KE. So if you multiply your P0, that means the current market price, with 1 plus KE, that is what you want right now, right? Now what will happen, my friends? Say you have invested this much, 100, and you expect 10% from it. So 1.10. So your total expectations after the end of the year, I mean the total value of your investment should be 110. Now shareholders are least bothered about the form in which they receive this 10 rupee. So whether they receive the 10 rupee in form of incremental market price or in the form of dividend per share, they are least bothered about this choice. So this equals to P1 plus D1. Now this is how the model of Modigliani-Miller looks like. Try to understand this model again very conceptually. They are least bothered that whether they get this 10% in the form of incremental market price or in the form of dividend. This is how the equation will be. Now say dividend declared by a company is 8 rupees. Then what will be your P1? P1 will be the new market price. So P0 in bracket 1 plus KE equals to P1 plus D1, right? This is what the formula should be. Say the dividend declared by a company is 8 rupee. Your expectation is 10% only. So your investment value should be 110. So if you find the remaining variable, which is P1, that will be 102. So what will be your total return? Total return will be dividend of 8 rupees and increment in market price of 2 rupees. So you have got a total return of 10 rupees, and the 10 rupees you have received is on your investment value of P0, which is 100. Now, whether this 10 rupees is satisfied in the form of dividend or in the form of increment in market price, that does not matter to the shareholders. That sounds very rational too, right? Yes, there are some assumptions behind it, but that sounds rational. See, if company doesn't pay me the dividend, that means company will keep it as a reserves and surpluses. Company is not going to keep this money idle. They will invest somewhere else in their investments, in their assets. They will fetch some percentage of a return on their investments. So how does it really matter that whether I receive a dividend or I do not receive a dividend? If company's fundamental position gets better, if company's reserves and surpluses gets better, then ultimately there will be impact on valuation of share. So my share price will get increased. So as a shareholder, how does it really matter to me that whether I receive the dividend or I receive the return in the form of increment in market price? So Modigliani and Miller model assumes that investors are indifferent for both of these returns. That means it really does not matter to them that in what form they receive the return, whether the return is received in the form of dividend or in the form of increment in market price. That's why they have built a very smart model, which was P0 plus 1 plus K multiplied by 1 plus K. P0 is the market price of share right now. Then you will be finding what will be the new market price after the payment of dividend. So if the payment of dividend will be say 0, then the impact will be on price entirely. And if the dividend will be say 8 rupees, then price will be increased only by few rupees. I hope you are getting my point. Investors ultimately want 10% to be satisfied in whatever the form. That really does not matter. May I have a confirmation as far as this formula is concerned? How did we get this formula? What's the logic behind this formula? Confirmation through the chat box, please. Received it from Mr. Vishal, Mr. Neve, Mr. Dhaval too. Very nice. Others, I'm expecting the active interaction. Yes, Mr. Mohit, please ask your doubt.
Good afternoon, sir.
Very good afternoon.
Sir, as previous in some previous sessions, we know that if a company pays dividend, so the valuation of share increases. Yes.
That was as per Gordon's model and as per the Walters model.
Yes, sir. My question is that if company didn't pay the dividend, ultimately the amount of that goes to reserve and surplus. So can we say that the valuation of that is just a kind of calculation?
See, all models have their own beliefs and assumptions, right? Now, I'm not saying that this particular valuation model is the perfect model. I'm not saying that Gordon's model is the perfect or Modigliani Miller model is perfect. They both have different assumptions to deal with. Now, as you have rightly stated, Mr. Mohit, that as per dividend discount model, what amount of dividend you pay, that matters, and accordingly the valuation of company is decided. Now, that is one way to project the investors' expectations and the rationale. Now, investors are thousands, crores in numbers. Whatever the intellect you put in building your model, in some or the other way, you may falter in satisfying their expectations, because you cannot know what will be the expectations and rationale and the criteria, do's and don'ts of all of these investors putting together. What do we do by framing a model? We just try to express the valuation by taking some assumptions. So fundamental assumption in the dividend growth model was that dividend affect the market price. Now, why they have taken this assumption? They would have done some research on it. They would have got some really good results to explain that. Now, Modigliani-Miller model says that whether you pay the dividend or do not pay the dividend, what matters for the investor is how much you earn. So valuation of the share is based on earning rather than the dividend per share. Whether you distribute it as a dividend or you keep it as a reserves and surplus, that does not matter as per Modigliani-Miller model. Now, Modigliani-Miller model can be adopted, Mr. Mohit, only if few assumptions are satisfied. If you assume these things, then only this model stands true, otherwise not. I'll tell you what are the assumptions. After that, I guess you will have more clarity on this. So no model can be called as the very perfect model, which will be reflecting the rationale and do's and don'ts of every investors in the country. No model is such perfect. So when you will be valuing the shares, you will not rely only on one model for valuation or undervaluation of it. You will find their book value of the share, you will find the PE ratio, you will find the PB ratio, you will see historically too that how market price of this company has reacted to the entire market movement. You will also find the value as per Modigliani-Miller model. You will also find the value as per Walters model, and accordingly you will take the decision. So you cannot say that this is just for the calculation purpose. In some of the industries, dividend discount model may be most used. Specifically those companies which are known for making the dividend payments. In that case, Mr. Mohit, dividend discount model will be the best model to get the value of share. And specifically those companies which are not known for making the dividends, investors' expectations from those companies and industries are slightly different, then in that case, dividend discount model may not be very appropriate model to use. So again, you will have to decide that at which company, which model will be the most suitable. Is it clear, Mr. Mohit? So it will be a wrong statement to say that it is just for the calculation. It is really does not matter. We should not reach to any conclusion. Industry to industry, company to company will have to see the situation. Is it clear? Okay, thank you so much. Good, so let's take the example of it, so we'll be able to get it in a better way. So there is one company called RST Limited. Again, the disclaimer taken from the CA examination. So there won't be any copyright violation from my side. RST Limited has a capital of 10 lakhs. This is CA final examination question. Some people will like, sir, how can we solve the CA final examination question at the MBA level? Yes, you can. Why cannot? कर ही सकते हैं, कुछ नहीं है. पढ़ाने वाले मिलते हैं तो पढ़ने वाले पढ़ते हैं. सिंपल सी बात है. कोई चीज कॉम्प्लिकेटेड नहीं है, कोई चीज इजी नहीं है. जो आप मानते हो कि बहुत इजी है, वो चीज उतनी इजी भी नहीं है. इफ यू गो इनटू अ कॉम्प्लेक्स डिटेल अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ इट, इट इन्वॉल्व्स वेरियस कैलकुलेशंस. जो चीज आप कॉम्प्लिकेटेड मानते हो वो इतनी कॉम्प्लिकेटेड नहीं है, वो इजी है अगर थोड़ा सा दिमाग लगाओ तो. RSD Limited has a capital of 10 lakhs in equity shares of 100 each. The shares are currently quoted at par. That means right now the market price is 100 rupees because they are quoted at par. When I use their word quoted, that means right now the market price is also 100 rupees. The company proposes to declare a dividend of 10 per share at the end of the current financial year. The capitalization rate for risk class of which the company belongs is 12%, which is nothing but the KE. Whenever this word capitalization rate for equity is mentioned, that means it's KE. What will be market price of the share at the end of each year if the dividend is not declared and if the dividend is declared? Okay, let's first solve these two parts and then we'll move to part number 3. So friends, part number 1, let's just write the formula as it is. Everyone will start solving it along with me. P0 in bracket 1 plus KE equals to P1 plus D1. So P0 is basically the current market price, and we want to see that what will be a new market price P1 if we do not pay the dividend. So current market price is how much? 100. It is given to us right in the second statement. Their expected rate of return is how much? KE is how much? 12%. So I'm writing in decimal 0.12 equals to P1 we are supposed to find. We may keep it just as a P1 or you may take it as X. लेकिन किसी किसी को X के नाम से तकलीफ होगी तो वो सिर्फ P1 ले सकते हैं. Plus if we do not pay any dividend, then dividend will be 0. Okay, so therefore 100 multiplied by 1.12 equals to P1. So therefore P1 will be equal to 112. So that will be new price if we don't pay the dividend. Okay. How much they are planning to declare? 10 rupee per share, right? Now let's take part number 2. When they go for making the payment of dividend. So again the same formula, I'm not writing it again and again. बहुत भाव नहीं देने की जरूरत है. 100 KE will remain same, 1 plus 0.12. Rest everything will remain same, my friends. Only at the place of D, you will have 10 rupee. So P1 plus 10 rupee is the expected dividend. In this case, we pay the dividend. So therefore, 100 multiplied by 1.12 equals to P1 plus 10. So therefore, 112 equals to P1 plus 10. So therefore, P1 equals to 112 minus 10. So equals to 102. So if we pay the dividend or we do not pay the dividend, then market price respectively we have got. But Mr. Modigliani and Mr. Miller says that there won't be any impact in the overall market valuation of the company. Now, how do we prove this argument? That's why I have taken this practical. Now we'll be going to part number 3 to prove this argument. Yahan tak is everyone clear? May I have the confirmation from the students, please? Has everyone got everything? Yahan tak sab kuch clear hai? Received it from Mr. Mohit, Miss Sethi too, Mr. Vishal, Miss Darshita, very nice. Others are the silent spectators. It's looking like assuming that the company pays the dividend and has net profits of 5 lakhs and makes new investment of 10 lakhs during the period, how many new shares must be issued? Use model. Okay, read it again very carefully. Assuming that the dividend is paid, right now we have the net profit of 5 lakhs rupees. We want to make new investment of 10 lakhs rupees. So how will be financing these new investments? So we'll be financing first of all through whatever the money I already have. And once after I spend that money, now I will go with the new equity shares, because for rest of the money which I require for the investments, I will raise it by issuing the new equity shares. So again, taking you to part number 3, our financing requirement is how much? 10 lakhs rupees. How it will be financed? One is, first of all, our reserves and surpluses. Whatever is there in a balance will be first utilized, and then whatever the balance money is coming will be raised through new equity shares. But the price of the new equity share at which we'll be issuing the new equity shares will be different. And that will be different when we will make the dividend and when we will not make the dividend. And in both of this situation, the price of new share at which this shares will be issued will be different. I hope you are getting my point. So here in this case, it is only asked that what will be a price if we pay the dividend, but we will be doing it for non-payment of dividend and for the payment of dividend, both the cases, right? So everyone may start doing it along with me. You will have 3 columns. One is particulars. Then you will have the calculations when dividend is declared. And third one, dividend is not declared. First of all, whatever we have, just write it. Net profit is there with us. So net profit is how much? I guess that is 5 lakhs rupees. So just write 5 lakhs rupees now. And in both the cases, it will be 5 lakhs, whether you pay the dividend or you do not pay the dividend. From the net profit, the first right to get the dividend is of the preference shareholders. In this case, there is no preference share capital given to us. So whatever the money is left is accessible to the equity shareholders in terms of earnings to equity. From this, you pay the dividend to equity. So what will be a dividend to equity? There will be 10 rupee per share dividend. And if you multiply that with the number of shares, then you will get the total dividend. Then how do you get the number of shares? See, my friends, there is an equity capital of 10 lakhs. And each share is carrying the par value of 100. So if you cancel off these zeros, so there will be 10,000 equity shares. 10,000 divided by 100. Give me a 30 seconds, please. I need to put this on charge. Okay, let's resume this now. Thank you so much for waiting over here for 30 seconds. सर आप चार्ज करके रखते हो तो हर बार कहते हो कि चार्ज करो। अब नेक्स्ट टाइम से करके आना। हाँ ठीक है बेटा, करके आऊंगा बस। So number of equity shares will be 10,000, and on each share you will pay 10 rupee. So 10,000 you will pay 10 rupee on each share. So that will be 1 lakh rupees of your total dividend. So I am reducing the amount of dividend from net profit. So that will be 10,000 multiplied by 10. So it will be 1 lakh. See my what is my requirement? I want to know that how much new money I will require to finance my total investment requirement of 10 lakhs. So 1 lakh will be paid, when dividend will not be declared, in that case, it will be 0, right? So 0, because in this case, the dividend is not declared. Okay. So sir, my retained earnings will be how much? In first case, it will be 4 lakhs. And in other case, it will be 5 lakhs. I hope you're getting my point. चलो यहाँ तक सब कुछ क्लियर है, थोड़ा सा कंफर्मेशन दे दीजिए प्लीज। ओके लेट्स गो। अच्छा के कितना है? 10% है? नहीं, के तो 12% है। सॉरी बेटा, इधर 12 है, तो हमने 12 के हिसाब से कैलकुलेशंस किया ना। हाँ अच्छा, 10% तो मैंने पहले अपने एग्जाम्पल के टाइम पे किया था। ओके ओके गॉट इट। मैं सोच रहा हूँ मैंने 10 तो नहीं ले लिए। ओके फाइन, गुड। So let me just write the market price in both the cases. Now when the dividend is declared, at that point of time the market price of per share will be 102 as per Modigliani Miller model. And if it will not be declared, then it will be 112, right? Now total investment, how much you want to make? Just write it over there. 10 lakhs rupees in first case and 10 lakhs rupees in another case. Now how much new equity shares you will have to issue? In the first case, yes please, someone want to say something? Okay, so how much new equity capital will have to issue? Total investment is 10 and my retained earnings is 4 lakhs. So I will be required to issue 6 lakhs rupees of capital from equity. So I can say new fund requirement from equity. And in second case, you already have 5 lakhs with you. You total require 10 lakhs rupees. So rest 5 lakhs you will have to arrange by issuing the fresh equity. Okay. Now how many number of equity shares you will have to issue to finance 6 lakhs? Now as per Mr. Modigliani and Miller model, the market price will reach to 102 if the dividend will be declared. If dividend will be declared, then the market price reaches to 102. So how many new number of shares you will have to issue to raise in total 6 lakhs rupees? I hope you are getting my point. So number of new shares to be issued will be, I'm writing that in a bracket, 6 lakhs, and per share value will be how much? 102. And here in this case you want to raise 5 lakhs, and per share value you will fetch how much? 112. So 6 lakhs divided by 102, what do we get? Can someone tell me please? Yes please. 6 lakhs divided by 102. Someone please unmute yourself and let me know.
5,882.35.
5,882.
35.
ओके, अगर 0.35 है तो 0.35 शेयर्स तो अपन इश्यू नहीं कर सकते. So what we'll do, we'll issue 5,882. So we'll either round it down or we'll round it up based on what digit we have after decimal. So if it will be more than 0.5, then we'll round it up, and if it is lesser than 0.5, we'll round it down. Okay. Then in second case, 5 lakhs to be issued, and each share will be getting 112 rupees. So how many number of new equity shares will have to issue? Can someone tell me again, please?
4,464.
4,464. Point के बाद क्या आता है?
28.
Okay, point after point we have 28, so that can be ignored. Good. Now this will be the new equity shares. They already have some existing shares, right? So what are the existing shares? Existing shares are 10,000. How did you come to know? Sir, they already have a capital of 10 lakhs and each share is having the par value of 100. So 10 lakhs divided by 100 would be 10,000. We have just now got it, no? And dividend is paid only to the existing shares, because right now we'll be issuing the new shares. So on that dividend will not be paid. So dividend will always be on the existing shares, obviously. Okay. So we have already got the existing shares 10,000 in the first case and 10,000 in another case too. So if you total this out, that will be your total equity shares. So total equity shares will be 15,882 in first case and 14,464 in another case. Now, what was the fundamental argument of Modigliani and Miller model? It says that whether you pay the dividend or you don't pay the dividend, the total valuation of the company in the long run remains same. Now let's prove this argument by doing some calculation. When I say total value of the company, that means the total market capitalization of the company. Total market capitalization. Now market capitalization is nothing but number of shares multiplied by its market price. This is how the company's scale and operations are measured, you know. Sometimes what happens that you cannot compare the revenue from one industry to another industry. Some of the industries are very capital intensive industries where revenue will be too much, but their valuation will not be very high. If you are dealing in some products which are carrying the too much of denomination, thousands and lakhs of rupees, then revenue will be too high, but possibly you may not have that much of a valuation in a market. So to know that at what scale the operations of the companies are taking place, the best criteria is to know their market capitalization. Generally, this is the criteria to decide that what is the top 10 companies of the country, what are the top 50 companies of the country. Market capitalization is excessively used word. whenever it is about giving the ranking to the companies in terms of their magnitude of scale and relevance in the economy. So sir, number of equity shares 15,882 and 14,464. That will be multiplied by the market price, and market price will be different for both of this. So in case of when we pay the dividend, the market capitalization will be 15,882 multiplied by its market price of 102. In second case, 14,464 multiplied the market price of 112. So if you multiply both of this, then you will get the market capitalization. Can someone tell me what do you get in the first one?
16,19,964.
फिर से बेटा, फिर से बताओ.
16
16
19
19
964.
964. Okay. And the second one?
16 19 968.
Okay, very nice. So sir, the valuation of the company is coming same in both the case. Did you observe that? Now, a bit of a difference is because of the rounding off and rounding down, you know, because for new number of equity shares, we couldn't get the exact figure. So the total market capitalization remains same. 16,19,964 in both the cases. Hence, Modigliani-Miller model stands correct if we follow the instructions given by it. Now from this calculation, some assumptions arises. We'll discuss those assumptions. And if those assumptions are there, then only this model stands true, otherwise not. May I have a confirmation that all of you are getting the same market capitalization? Once we get that, we'll move to the assumption. Confirmation, please. How 6 lakh came? Where do we get 6 lakhs, beta? See, Mr. Vishal. See, Mr. Vishal. We require the total investment of, let me use a different color. We require a total investment of 10 lakhs rupees. We already have a retained earning of 4 lakhs rupees in the first alternative. That's why we require new fund of 6 lakh rupees from equity. In second case, you already have 5 lakhs because you have not distributed any amount of dividend. So you will be raising the new fund of 5 lakhs rupees from the market. Is it clear, Mr. Vishal, now? Okay. Confirmation from other students, please. यहाँ तक सब कुछ सही है, सबको समझ में आया है? कुछ भी ऐसी चीज हो जो नहीं समझ में आई हो, बता दीजिए बेटा. Others? What did we do? Please go through that. First, we had written the net profit. We pay the dividend from a net profit. So we get the retained earnings to be transferred in that year. Then total investment requirement was written. We had financed the requirement by issuing the new equity shares, obviously after exhausting our own retained earnings. And the new equity shares are issued at the respective market price, and market price in both the situation will be different as per Mr. Modi, Liani and Miller. So we get the total equity shares And if you multiply the total equity shares with the market price of each, you get the market capitalization, which is same in both the cases. Okay, here comes the assumptions of the model. And the assumptions are very, very important to be discussed. So this is how the model is. Do not get confused, it is the same model. If something is there in a denominator, you may take it over there too, right? P0 in bracket 1 plus K equals to P1 plus D1. So it is same model. So if something is there in a multiplication, you may keep it over there in denomination on a right hand side. Okay. The first assumption is the perfect capital markets. All the investors have got each and every information related to each and every stock. How much dividend they have paid, how much valuation they should get, whether they will be issuing the new equity shares for financing the new requirements. This every information should be available to everyone without any information asymmetry. But that is what the unrealistic assumption is. You cannot expect that each and everyone has the similar access to every information in the market. Securities and Exchange Board of India as well as the various authorities are trying very hard to give the equal information to everyone without any discrimination, but that is again a very, very far reality. Some people who are already there in a business, mutual fund distributors, financiers, some of the big investment banks, these people get some information very prior in advance, even before the announcements takes place in companies' board meetings. They already take their position in the market based on the information they have. Yes, if that price sensitive information related to any company is transferred illegally in a discriminative way, then there may be some provisions of insider trading. The penalties of insider trading are very, very, very high. It may reach somewhere near to even 25 crores. That may be just your minimum penalty from the insider trading. So, insider trading is prohibited in India. But still, no one can deny that insider trading is not. To pay some amount of money to all the Havaldars, we are still supposed to pay some amount of money to every kacheris and governmental offices we visit to seek the license, to get your requirements done. So many things you pay in a black under the table. So it's just like that, you know. We say that everyone has got the equal information rightly on a time without any discrimination, but that does not happen in reality. Some people have always got a better access in the market due to their capital, due to their level of operations, due to their outreach, due to their reputation, and due to their power and positions too. Number two, no taxes or no tax discrimination between dividend income and capital appreciation. Now see, try to understand. What we were saying that investors are indifferent whether you increase a market price or you pay them the dividend. Ultimately, they expect 10 rupees in total, right? So if you pay 8 rupees of dividend, then market price increment will be just 2 rupees. And if you do not pay any dividend, then the market price increment will be 10. So ultimately their expectation is 10 rupees. That is what we assume while calculating these answers. But friends, if there is a discrimination between these two incomes, say if dividend income will have lesser taxation rate as compared to increment in market price. So as per the Income Tax Act 1961, dividend income will be charged as income from other sources, and this increment in market price is charged as short-term capital gain or long-term capital gain. If the shares are held for more than 1 year, then it will be a long-term capital gain. Less than 1 year, it will be short-term capital gain. Now, if, say, I'm just giving you the example, say the dividend income will be charged at 20% and increment in market price is charged just at 15% tax, then obviously the investors will prefer the alternative where they will have to pay less amount of tax, right? So they may go with incremental market price instead of receiving the dividend. Earlier, the long-term capital gains on the equity shares was exempted in India. So everyone was preferring to get more and more valuation of their equity. Because if you were selling after 1 year all the equity shares you possessed, you are not supposed to pay any tax on it. Yes, few exceptions were there. But then there was long-term capital gains charged on the equity shares possession. Now, why any government will be removing the long-term capital gains? To encourage the investors to invest more in the market. If you know that this income is going to be exempted to you for the income tax purposes, you will invest more amount of money in the equity stocks. But now that exemption is removed, now there is a long-term capital gains tax on the equity. You will have to pay the tax on it. Earlier, the dividend income up to 1 or 2 years, the dividend income which was paid by the companies was exempted in the hands of shareholders up to 10 lakhs rupees, against which the dividend distribution tax was paid by the companies. So basically, the companies were paying the dividend distribution tax on the payment of dividend rather than investors pay something on it. But even that is removed now. So if that was the case, I mean, if people are not supposed to pay any tax on dividend, then they will prefer the dividend rather than increment in market price. So we assume that there is no tax discrimination between these two incomes. Then only this Modigliani-Miller stands true, otherwise not. I hope you are getting my point. Then the third point, fixed investment policy. See, try to understand. Whatever the investments you are making, no, in the case we have taken the example, 10 lakhs rupees was required. Read this paragraph. It is necessary to assume that all the investment should be financed through equity only. Now 10 lakhs rupees was totally required. From that, we already had some retained earnings of say 5 lakhs rupees. Then for remaining amount, we were issuing the new equity shares. Now for this remaining amount, you might have gone to banks and institutions too for loans and borrowings. But we ignored that. We said that for remaining amount, we will always go to equity only. So if you finance your remaining investment amount after exhausting your reserves and surpluses from the equity only, then only this model stands true, otherwise not. If you will finance this 5 lakhs rupees, say from a debt, from a borrowing, then the valuation of the total company will get little here and there, you know, then in both the cases, it will not come same. I hope you're getting my point. So you must have wondered that, sir, that 5 lakhs rupees and 6 lakhs rupees we had required to invest, we had required to finance, was financed through equity only in both the case. Why? You would have taken the loan. Why didn't you take a loan? If you take the loan, then the calculation differs. तो अंडर assumption ये है कि जितने भी नए पैसे तुम्हें चाहिए, वो नए पैसे कहाँ से लेते हो? Equity से लेते हो. Okay. No flotation or transaction cost. Say you will be issuing the new equity shares of 5 lakhs rupees, and if you will have to pay the flotation and transaction cost on it, then in one alternative you will be distributing more number of shares, say in the first one, and in a second alternative you are distributing less number of shares. So in second alternative the transaction cost will be less, and in the first alternative the transaction cost will be high. So if the transaction cost will be different in both the alternatives, then company will prefer that alternative which will have lower transaction cost, if that transaction cost is significant for the decision making. So we also assume that there is no transaction cost, and if there is a transaction cost, then it is applicable to both of these alternatives irrespective of number of shares. When I say transaction or flotation cost, that means for issuing the new equity shares, you will have to appoint the underwriters, you will have to appoint the various agencies, you will have to take the permission from the SEBI, you will have to pay the discount and brokerage at the various levels, you will have to pay the exchange listing fees. And if these things will differ based on your number of shares, then the company will prefer the second alternative rather than the first, if that transaction cost will be very significant for the decision making. Otherwise, if it will be very insignificant, then it really does not matter, right? So that is also an assumption that there is no flotation or no transaction cost, but that is also not the reality. It differs from a country to country, market to market, and security to security. Risk of uncertainty does not arise. So if Modi Gilani Miller says that this will be a new price, then that will only be the new price. So any sort of an uncertainty is risk, any sort of any other events which may affect your price adversely are not considered for the calculation purpose. We assume that there will never be any corona kind of situation, which is an unrealistic situation. During this COVID-19 crisis, no fundamentals will help you. But yes, in a long period, it is always assumed that only those companies will be getting more market price, which will be fundamentally good. So valuations and every such sort of a things will be applicable in the long period of time. And that's why fundamental analysis is not followed very much for short-term trading positions. For short-term trading positions, you don't look at the EPS or valuation of a share or any other thing, no? Short-term trading positions are taken by just the demand and supply forces, by analyzing the charts and knowing that where the prices are going, upward trend or downward trend or something like that. So for short-term trading, technical analysis is followed more, which is basically identifying the share price patterns and knowing the buying and selling behavior of traders by using some statistical tools and indicators. That is a technical analysis. So valuation and everything is not followed much for short term. So we assume that there will be no risk and uncertainty. And if we take COVID-19 kind of a crisis into account, then Modi Gilani Miller model does not stand true. So these are the various assumptions, preconditions, in other words, preconditions. If these conditions do not get satisfied, then the model will also stand wrong. Well, a final confirmation through the chat box, please, that everything you have got till now. Is there any query related to the assumptions? Received it from Mr. Vishal, Mr. Mohit, Mr. Dhaval. Now today there is a male dominance in the chat box. आ रहे हैं हमारे लोग मैदान में. अच्छा किंजल आई देखो. हाँ किंजल बोली कि ऐसा कैसे मेल डोमिनेंस बोल दिया. हम भी है मैदान में, हम गए नहीं है. दर्शिता is also there. Okay, good. Miss Sethi is also there. Very nice. So we have the equal representation of boys and girls. Fine. Please put your enrollment number as a mark of your attendance for the day. That's it from my side for the day. Bye bye. Take care. Sayonara. See you all in the next session.